Welcome back, everyone. Working on the Dakota today. I've just got to get this project done and out of the shop. It's taken me too long. And I can't put anything back together in the front end until I get this patch panel welded in right here. This is where all these trucks always rust out. There's hardly anything left in there. I took what was left out. Here's the new panel. It's going to go in there. Hopefully give you a better shot of it. So it's not quite fitting because I've got rusted out pieces here from the original panel that have got to come out. Then I'm going to rust proof this so it doesn't rust out again for a while, hopefully. I'm going to try and seal it up too so it doesn't get as much mud and stuff, salt and whatnot in there anyways. That's what I'm going to start with. Got 90-degree die grinder here. And then once I get that done, I will be working on this fender. So this is a brand new fender. I'm quite sure it was a offshore manufacturer. So it's painted now, but you can see that gap. It's pretty pathetic. As far as I know, these repop fenders it's quite common for this to happen. I can get it to fit. It's just gonna take some, I'm gonna have to force it in there and get the bolt in. There's one bolt in the bottom that holds it in. Bit of rust removal I'm gonna do here and just clean that up and then rust proof it before I put the inner fender in. You can see that there's some fitment issues with this fender that I've got to deal with. Unfortunately, it's too bad that it doesn't fit as good as an OE, but such is life. At least it's not all crinkled like the other one. So I just bent up a patch panel out of a piece of the inside fender of the one that was crinkled. See, I've still got to adjust gaps and things in here so none of these bolts are snug down or tightened. I've got to get all that dealt with, and then a battery tray in here. Got my new one. All this was smashed before. Power distribution center there. I want to try and get this stuff, the fender on and lined up and all this stuff secured in here so I can get a battery in here and move this truck when I need to. I also need to hook up my coolant lines, fill the radiator. Right now I've only been running it in and out of the shop. I do have a better fan, so I think that I'll probably put a fan on that's not damaged. I just picked up a Dakota here that is a low mile 4.7. It's two-wheel drive, but it has a nice chrome bumper that's going to go on this one. I was waiting to put the bumper on. Let's do some swap arounds and put a bumper on this one. But anyways, I can't do anything until I get this panel in, so that's what I'm going to try and do tonight. I got to do some hammer dolly work here where it's been bent, make everything fit in. So I'm going to start with that and just try and get the other fender bolted on. Kind of the idea for this evening. And there's the patch that I welded into the bottom of the fender. Got to grind it a little bit here and there, but overall it's solid. It's going to give strength back to that area, and it's going to kind of seal this up. I'm gonna put just a bit of seam sealer in here. I just forgot to grab some, but there is a little bit of surface rust here and there left on the fender that I wasn't able to clean up too well, or get at with the grinder. So I'm just going to coat that too, just for good measure. Mostly up inside the fender, up in here, just on the where they always rust out, right in here where the dirt collects and the mud. I want to seal that up really good so that I don't get any rust problems in there. And then this seam right down here, also from the top side, you can kind of reach in there down in this area. I'll just coat it with some of this stuff, and if there is some surface rust in there, I'm hoping that'll probably slow it down or take care of it. I got this bumper here off of one of my parts trucks.
one that I'm working on parting right now. And these Dakotas are really bad for the inside of the bumper here to rusting out. See, this one's got surface rust now with no holes in it yet. It's still in pretty good shape. So I'm just going to try to slow that down. I just followed the directions, removed all the loose rust on this. And I always thought this rust converter stuff was snake oil. And I don't know, some guys online were commenting and saying that it does actually have some sort of chemical, or make a chemical process happen, some sort of conversion, and it does convert the rust into something else where you can paint over top of it and it'll stop it, even if it slows it down for a while. I mean, the reason why these ones rust out is because these bumpers is because they get dirt up in here and people never get in there and wash them out or put any kind of a oil-based or wax-based undercoat up in here. So that's what I'll do, is I'm just gonna encapsulate the rust, and then I'll probably get the finger out of the way. And then what I'll do is go ahead and put a bunch of fluid film in here probably, and that'll, or maybe some of the oil-based undercoat. That should slow the rust down. Hopefully, this is a chrome bumper and it's going on a Sport. So I've also got a brand new bumper that I've painted black that might look a little bit better. We'll see. This one didn't look too bad when I was fitting it. I've got to get this thing together and some antifreeze in the radiator and stuff so I can pull it out in and out of the shop and park it outside. Got to get some more body work done on it. It's taking too long. Got to get on with some other stuff. Anyway, I'm going to do that. There's a couple other spots on the truck that I'm going to go ahead and paint with this stuff to try and slow that rust down. And then hopefully today I'll get it back together. It's been taking a while because I had to realign to get the panels to fit right, and the gaps still aren't perfect, but I think they're as good as they're gonna get. I had to actually cut the frame again and lower it down because I had it too high, and that messed everything on the front clip up. But a truck like this is never gonna be like it was when it was new. So I'm just gonna get it as close as I can. It is what it is. It's an old truck, it's used, and make it look decent again, and it will be a good truck for sale. I'm just trying to get the battery tray back in. I thought I'd just take a moment to talk a little bit about the evap system on these trucks and the hoses and things that it has. So before you put your battery tray in, you've got to, we'll talk about the battery tray install first, because I wanted to get this done. I know it sounds like no big deal, right? Like should be just a few minute job, but there's a little bit more to it on these trucks in particular. The fuse box is going to clip in back here. I just left it loose because I know I'm going to have to move this a little bit. And then you got one more screw right down in there. It goes into the top of the fender, holds the fuse box a little more solid with the front mounts clipped in. You've got this purge canister solenoid here that goes on the back of the battery tray. Sort of see it in there, see it? So that hangs off the back, it goes in the bottom. So you've got to try to put this battery tray in there. Make sure you plug in your battery temperature sensor, which is right here. If this malfunctions, you'll lose charging. So that's something to keep in mind. And you should be able to get at the connector if you reach down through in here, or you might have to go through the headlight hole up front here. But you can't get to it. Maybe underneath, I think you can dig. I've done it with the battery tray bolted in. You can get at it, but it's easier to plug it in when you're installing your battery tray. Then you've got, see, I forgot to take that bolt out. I got to pull the bolt out of the fender here. That front bolt in there. Then you've got 2, 3. I think there's 4 or 5 bolts that hold the battery tray in. Missing a couple here somewhere. So then you've got to bolt everything in. But before that happens, what you might want to check, these vacuum hoses, purge valve hoses here. Okay, this one's coming from the, I think this is one of the fuel tank ones. This big one's the fuel tank one, so you've got a joiner in there. I'm gonna explain that. Here's the T. This one comes from the intake manifold, and it goes up to this valve here. I've got to figure out if it goes to the top or bottom here. I've just got to route these properly. I think there's a diagram on the hood there that shows that. The reason why I'm not doing it right tonight is because I thought I had enough of this hose to make it work, but these hoses are absolutely horrible that Chrysler uses for this. So this one, that's the end of that one. This is what it looked like. So somebody had been in here putting electrical tape around them to try to get them to seal. But see, they're all cracked up. That one wouldn't seal anymore. So I took off the death wagon truck there that I parted out. They were still in pretty good shape on it. So there goes my ratchet. I just cut a piece off. That's what the joiner's for. That's going to go in there like this to my canister solenoid there. Pardon me, my purge valve solenoid. But I didn't realize that all these ones, look at that one. That's not, and it's cracked there. And these ones actually are supposed to route underneath the battery tray like this. They come up and go into those two fittings there. Like that. I didn't put them down there because I need access to them. This T tees off, and I believe that connects to that valve that's down there underneath the fuse box. So I'm leaving the fuse box loose so I can get at all this stuff. Anyway, they're labeled, so it's not horribly bad. Got 5/16 there. This one I believe is 1/4 inch. This one says 1/4 inch on it that goes to the manifold. So I'm just gonna have to go and I'll probably just use, I don't think I can get vacuum line. If I can get vacuum line, I'll use it. Probably just use fuel line. So you can see that this is kind of this filter thing that goes down in here. And there's a hose. This one still has it on it. Here's what the battery box looks like when it's out. See, that hose just goes underneath there and back up to that filter thing there that sits there underneath the other solenoid valve. And that one, look at the kind of shape this one's in. That's probably the best one I've got. So I ended up with, I think, 3 battery trays because I bought one, then I got one from my parts truck. I think I had one from another parts truck. So anyways, you get my point. So there's just an example of what these hoses look like when they start to fall apart and rot. And I found this on a few Chrysler vehicles of crankcase ventilation hose on an Intrepid that I worked on. It just turned to like jelly. Here, this is the one that goes underneath the battery tray. I think this is the one that I took off this truck. So obviously that's not gonna seal. Then you're gonna end up with evap system codes. So what I did on this one is I just put a piece of 5/8 heater hose from this filter thing underneath the battery tray over to the purge valve there. Unfortunately, this is the way this truck's been going. Every time I think I'm gonna come out here and put it all back together in a couple hours, something like this happens, and I've got to wait until the next day to go into town and grab some more parts. So now I've just got to get a whole bunch of, I'll probably need 8 feet of fuel line, probably. I'll need just a few feet of 1/4 inch, but then I'm gonna need, whatever this is, 5/16 fuel line. I'm gonna need a few more feet of that to fish it up here underneath the battery tray. So I haven't bolted this in yet, but anyway, it's not really a big job, but it also can turn into a bit of a pain in the butt to get this together. So that's what I'm working on tonight. Well, that's what I did tonight. I didn't get very far. So in any case, just wanted to show you guys what you might be up against if you get digging into this. So if you have evap system codes, that's also places that you might have to pull this battery tray out. And it's kind of a pain the way they've got all this stuff mounted to it and plugged into it. Got electrical harness there. You've got another harness that plugs into this valve right there. So got to reach in there and unplug. You can get to it from back there. So that's plugged in on this one. This one's plugged in. I got my battery temperature sensor plugged in. I've got to do something. I don't know why they stacked the battery clamps here. Somebody did some kind of a farm fix there. I've got to fix that so I can get a battery in here. This is going to be a big step though, because now pretty soon I'm going to be able to put a battery in this truck and fill the radiator with coolant, and then it'll be mobile again. So it's getting close, but not quite there yet. Drug the bumper in. I'm going to put that on it, see how that looks on here, the chrome bumper with the sport. Just got one headlight with the marker light on there with the LEDs and stuff. I've got to wire that up because it has LEDs in there. Not the bulbs, the incandescent bulbs. Anyways, so it's coming along. I'm gonna get some fuel line. I was almost tempted as well to use something like that clear snowmobile gas line, but I don't think I have any. if I do, I don't know if it's the right size or if I have not a long enough piece to do all this, but I don't see any reason why that stuff wouldn't work for this either. And then what I've done is just taken a zip tie on these bigger hoses, and when I use the heater hose on that one underneath the battery box, I just put a zip tie around it fairly snug. I think this barbed fitting for heater hoses here is going to be just fine. I had to heat it up and put a bunch of penetrating oil on it. That's what's on there, or some fluid film to get it to go. So I think that'll be tight enough. It's just pulling a few pounds, a few inches of vacuum, so it shouldn't be too bad. Anyways, that's what I'm gonna get done here, and I'll update here. I'll start filming when I get some more parts, I guess. Working on these vacuum lines now. So if you need to do this and you've taken the hoses off, of course, there's a diagram right here. Oops. You got, I was wrong. The down here, that's your pump. So that is your leak detection pump for your purge system. Bottom one's your filter down there. So that's the hose that goes underneath the battery tray, that thick one. Then there's your purge control solenoid right there. So top one, I believe here, goes to your leak detection pump. It tees off, goes to the intake manifold, goes to the bottom of your, I'm assuming that's the bottom of your purge control just by the looks of the way they've got it drawn here. And then you got your service port, evap canister back there. So let's take a look at this. 1/4 inch hose onto the intake. Now, depending on what your 4.7 it is, these might be different. But I'm just using this fuel line, 1/4 inch fuel line here. It's fairly thick walled stuff. This isn't drawn, like I was mentioning earlier, this isn't drawing a lot of pressure through it. This is fairly stiff. It's reinforced wall, of course, because it's fuel line, so it's not going to collapse really easily. So you got your T down there, teed off to your pump, which goes down there. Then it's going to come around. I'm bringing it around up here so you can get at it. If you ever have a leak, the lines are up here where you can see them. They're not buried underneath the battery tray. So I just routed them around there past the fuse, your fuse box. And then here's I haven't got the second one on yet. It's just sitting there, but might have to just heat them up a little bit with the heat gun. I'm using a Bernzomatic torch because I forgot to bring the heat gun home. Anyways, that's the last one I've got to hook up. I've got them all routed there, so that's done. I forgot to get a battery terminal. I'm just going to cut this one off and bolt it to a fresh terminal. I might have one somewhere kicking around here. I don't know yet. Anyways, it's finally getting to the point where I can start putting this back together. I find that sometimes it's just one delay after another. Anyways, so it's kind of exciting when you get to the point where you can actually put a whole bunch of parts on in one shot. So I'm going to bolt this battery tray in tonight. You've got, don't forget that there's one bolt down in there. See the hole there? One bolt there. You need an extension to get out, of course. Got these two here that go to that bracket. This bracket that bolts to your rad support system there. And then, of course, we've got this one up here that goes into the front of the fender. I would put this one in last. Start them all, but this one, if it's not tight, I think this is going to be back just a bit. See, it's not quite that far. Once I get everything moved up, it's going to be closer. I think there's going to be a bit of a gap there. You put the bolt in, tighten it up, of course, it's going to break it. And I don't want to do that because that's one of the parts that I had to replace from the original accident. And then I'm just going to click everything into place once I get that tray bolted in. So I'm going to get that done. Like I say, I just put a little bit of rubberized undercoat over the frame, especially where it's been repaired, but also underneath the fenders here. It probably won't stick because I put that wax-based stuff on this side, but I just put a little bit on that area that always wants to rust out. It might help, it might not. If you own one of these trucks and you don't want it rusting out, you look in here in the fender, you take the headlight out, you got a straight shot up in there to your inside of your fender. Get a light here. So if you don't want it rusting out, every spring, see, you can see where I've painted that wax-based or oil-based undercoat all through there from when I painted this fender before I put it on the truck. Anyway, wash this out with a pressure washer or a garden hose every spring if you're driving your truck in the winter and it snows where you're at. They salt the road, sand it, wash everything out, and then get in there with your fluid film or whatever you like for a oil-based undercoat with your shoots gun with a hose on the end, and coat that up. So every spring, wash it out, coat it up. You got some access down here too where you can see in there the inside of the fender. You could just, even with a garden hose, just wash all your salt and gravel out of there, and then try to, if you got a undercoat gun with the hose on it, you can just push the hose down in there and spray it up. And if you've been doing that maintenance, the truck will be, it'll be years before it rusts out. The flares are a problem too, as I'll get into when I start doing the rear wheel arches. All right, I gotta get some bolts found here together and bolt that patch of trading. And then just remember back here, you got your just one mount, one bolt goes through right there, that hole that you can see to hold the back of your fuse panel in. That's one of these coarse thread, what is that, 8mm head screws that goes back in there, kind of like a self-tapping thing. I can't hold the camera and put it back in there. But anyway, it's just something to remember. I'm gonna put it in by hand because just with a ratchet, because if I use an impact, it's gonna break the tab off the fuse box. When the plastic, you guys all know, if you've done anything like this, the plastic gets old and crispy, especially if it's cold out, and as soon as you start bending some of this stuff, it all snaps off on you. It's really annoying. So I don't want to have that do that in the back there. It does need this extra little bit of support just to make it a little bit more sturdy. So I'll get that in there, and then this is all bolted. All right, guys, so one of the things that I wanted to show you is this is part of the back of the headlight mount. Oops. Okay, so this is the one that I'm going to use. I got these clear headlights at the pick-apart yard a couple of years ago. I was going to put them in my daily driver. I've got some LEDs for my daily, so I'm going to put these in the silver truck. These ones have a Phillips head on there, on the adjusting screws, and they're like a galvanized adjusting screw. So they're a lot nicer than the ones from the Dodge puts in from the factory, as I'll show you here. Anyway, what's going to happen, what you're going to find when you're looking for headlights or changing headlight lenses is one of these mounts is almost always broke, or the bottom two are broke right off. See, this one is just the bottom, I don't know what that'd be, the bottom outside one, right? Because this would sit in the right side of the truck. So that's something you want to look for. If you have one of these trucks, any little impact to the bumper or the fender and it breaks these mounts off. Sometimes it doesn't even take that much. So my trucks, a lot of my trucks I've had to try to find good ones for, but my one parts truck had good headlight mounts. This one's got all intact. Problem is, and this is the genuine Chrysler one, the problem is the Dodge ones use the head, let me grab the mount screw. These mount screws that get really rusty and they go in there like a pivot, and you can see the amount of rust on there, and then it's just gonna thread it into the plastic. It's really not a good setup. On this side here, and it just goes through the plastic. They'll strip out, and you can't screw these back out. I was able to get all of them out, and then I'm just gonna put this one back in here, just like this. Is it upside down? That might be upside down. Probably gonna put some anti-seize on the pivot bolts. I hope this isn't the opposite side that I need. I think it is. Okay, yep, so I guess that's back to square one. I'll have to go find the opposite side, as you can see. Anyway, that's something that you want to keep in mind, because the factory pivot bolts, one of these was even stripped out, so I couldn't adjust it with the Torx. So you have no headlight adjustment. It's really a bad design, really cheesy. Something that you might want to keep a pair of those if you got one of these trucks, or if you've been working on one. It turns out I had the wrong side there. Here's the other clear headlight that I got, so I'm pretty sure these are aftermarket, just because they've got the better fasteners and stuff. This one was just missing this little piece here as part of the pivot. It comes out of the top there, and you can just pull that out. I just pulled it out with a set of pliers, pop it into here. Oh man, it's pretty tight. Same side to side. Nope, that didn't do it either. Let's try this. Okay, there we go. So I think that, see, this one's even broke on the end, but it's not that bad. Could even put some epoxy on that, but that's just, you'll see that with all of these lights. Not too sure what these ones had for bulbs in them, but it looks like they were set up for something that's not stock. Maybe it had an HID kit. Not too sure. In any case, I think I can put the stock bulbs in here. Maybe I'll just get a good set of Nighthawks or something like that. I can get one headlight put in tonight. It's getting close. I got to get some hose and stuff like that, and I'll show you what I'm working on for the evap system. When I get those hoses, I will show you. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to use just the best one of these mounting adjustment screws, because the good one's missing out of this headlight. Don't know, I probably never had it in there, and I never noticed when I got it from the wrecking yard. So I'll just take the one that's in the best condition. I don't know which one it is, probably this one. Put it through and thread it in, and I'll just have to use one of them. Put some never sees on it, hope for the best. Okay, got all my wiring harnesses done. Finally ready to put these headlights in. This undercoat stuff, the rust-proof stuff, gets all over my hands. It's kind of a pain. It stays liquid. I think it's a good product for what it is supposed to do. It's just messy. Doesn't dry. So just make sure that you get these marker light harnesses down through this area here, and they're not pinched somewhere around here. It's surprising how easy it is to do that. Come on now. So this is the new fender. Holes are a little bit tighter because I haven't had bolts put in yet. So I had to go dig through my parts and find a good headlight mount again, because the one from the wrecking yard, of course, is broken like they almost always are. So these take these 3 coarse thread bolts. I think I might have mentioned that before. This one's brand new. I think this is from the truck I got these out of. And it's not going in like it should. The swivel's got a poke in there and mount a little bit different. Anyway, if you've lost these, if you threw them all in a pile and you can't find out, just look at the witness marks, because these ones have these little locking grooves in there. I think that's what those are for. So when you find those 10mm head, and then they got the coarse thread, and I think you can just buy these at the little help rack at the auto parts store. Not too hard to get. A lot of variance in where these holes can be. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's holding it out. Pivot. Oh, you know what I did? I forgot to put the plastic pivot piece in the fender, because this is a new fender and it doesn't have that. Dang, okay, well, I'll take this back out and go find one of those. All right, that's what I was missing right there. Found one in the parts truck. So I'll get that pressed in there. it's seated. Not much of a flange on it. There we go. So mounting. Still sticking out too far. I guess I'll have to try to fix that with alignment. Headlights are going to be way off on this thing anyways. So I'm going to have to adjust them quite a bit. Yeah. Okay. So what I've done, here's my, these are an LED marker light. I just painted them black. I saw a couple trucks online that looked really good with them painted with that tint, smoke color, whatever, headlight tint paint. Just giving everything a little shot of dielectric oil. Pen lube is the stuff that everybody swears by. Just used a weather pack on these. They're not my favorite connector. Yeah. But I think they'll work just fine. I mean, Chev used them for years. John Deere used them for years. One terminal just isn't quite centered in there. It doesn't want to go together. There we go. And these just had like an adapter. They're actually a pretty good setup. These headlights, they had all that stuff just to pretty much plug your factory harness in. Seal's not letting this one going all the way. There we go. So like I say, just make sure you route your harness properly when you do this, and you don't pinch any of these wires here. Got a little, left myself a little extra wire there. I'll just have to hide that. And these things are kind of goofy the way they fit in, as you all know. Come on now. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to put a little bit of lube on these too. Pen lube will work just fine for that too. And just don't force it, just be careful and should snap in there. So there is one screw, as you guys likely know, that goes in right here, and it's kind of a silly little setup. It's got that high shoulder on it, and it's a Torx, which makes it awkward. The aftermarket lights oftentimes just have a Phillips, which works just fine. So you might want to just oil this or something so that the screw doesn't rust and get seized up in the plastic mount. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to get both my marker lights, now that they're wired in, I'm going to put them on the truck. Probably just hook the battery up real quick, get a connection up there to check the lights, make sure that all the lights work. And then I'll be just hanging the bumper on. I'm just going to put the bumper on with the two top mounts in case I change my mind. And I'm sure there's going to be a fair bit of adjustment on the bumper to get it so it sits level and you can get these lights out if you have to replace bulbs and stuff like that. Anyways, that's what I'm going to do next. And same on this side. For some reason this side's fitting a little bit better. And I just got to put my seal on. Probably gonna have to, oh no, that's working. Just have to get a screwdriver or something to work this on there. Come on now. Okay, I do like the looks of these already. Got them wired in. So I'm just gonna air the tires up here, and unfortunately I don't have any bulbs for the driving lights and the bumpers. I have to pick those, set of those up. Not a big deal. But from here on in, all I really have to do now is get the bumper on. I can fill it with coolant, put the top rad tank on and hose. So I want to just get this thing kind of looking like it's together again, like it can be used. So that's where I'm going to go next. Just putting the top rad tank, or the overflow in the washer fluid reservoir. So this is the top of the rad shroud, of course. Just two tabs that kind of link it into the bottom one, and then there's these two bolts like this. They have a Torx as well as a 10mm head. One goes in underneath the rad hose right there, and you can see it here. In there, just goes into those stupid body nut things. So you got to be careful that you don't over tighten it. And I've just been putting some fluid film on these. I should use some anti-seize, I guess. Anyway, I'm just got to get these buttoned up here. Yeah, okay. Can't do it with one hand. Oh, good. Didn't go all the way through or hide somewhere. Anyways, I'm just going to put that one in. When you're doing this, make sure that your float in. I'll just show you that right now. That this can move parallel. See, not very much, but sometimes these can spin around, and that's the float for the indicator for your washer fluid. So it'll just show low washer fluid even with the reservoirs full, and you just have to turn that around so that the float is in the proper position. And then here's your pump for your washer fluid. So that's something to check if you got problems with your windshield washer fluid not spraying or whatever. Of course, you want to check for power there and then see if the pump's running. Anyways, I'm going to get this top shroud bolted in, and then I can get the rad hose on and put some fluids in this thing. This top rad hose on here. I can't remember what this holder, this keeper thing goes into. It definitely doesn't go into the top of the shroud as far as I can see. Maybe it did on the original one, I can't remember. Anyway, got your overflow tube. Pretty straightforward. Now, you do want to try to get these constant tension clamps back in around the same spot. You'll see a mark left on the hose, an indentation. And you want to put it in the same orientation so that they don't leak on you. Oh, this is a tough one to get at. Come on now. There she goes. So one's in the right spot. These things can be a pain. Okay, that's where she wants to be. Good. Finally making some progress on this project. Now I'm going to mix up some antifreeze. So one of my customers was generous and gave me some antifreeze concentrate here. This orange stuff. Now It says it's good for everything, Chrysler, Ford, Hummer. It says it's good for Chrysler. The only thing I'm worried about with coolant is if it's Dex, GM Dex cool. That's what this stuff looks like, is orange. So hopefully there's no remnants of the green antifreeze that was in there. Because you don't want to mix Dex cool and your regular long life. Since this is concentrate, I've got to mix it with water. So if you're doing this, you can see how thick that stuff is. It's like syrup. If you're doing this, you want to mix it with distilled or demineralized water. Let's see. It doesn't say that it's good with all different colors of antifreeze, so hopefully the system doesn't have anything left in it. So I've just got some distilled water from, well, this is called demineralized, it's labeled as, but it's the same as distilled water just from the grocery store. If you use tap water in this, your coolant isn't going to be long life coolant anymore. So I've got 4 liters of water and 3.78 liters of coolant. So it's going to be a bit rich. That's fine. Should give me good freeze protection. Should be minus 40 or so. I don't know if this is going to be enough. It's probably not going to be enough to fill the heater core, the engine block, and the radiator. If not, I think I've got another jug of water inside I can use. Pretty sure. Anyways, I got to make a funnel out of this because, of course, I don't have a funnel here. And then we'll dump it in. See if I can do this without getting it all over the place. It's a Gatorade. I did run out. Luckily I had some in the house. So this is a partial jug, so I'm gonna have to dump it in. And I can see that it goes up to this rib right here, underneath this blue line, so put that in. It's kind of like that, is it the third Die Hard movie where they had to juggle water around and put it on a scale and get just the right amount? Just that's right up to that ridge. Perfect. Mix. And if I need it, a better jug, a better funnel too. Well, I'm ready to put the freshly painted grill back on. Now this is kind of tough because of the way Dodge made these little studs here. I can't get the nut off the back. They always are seized up. So what happens when you try to take the nuts off these studs is they pull out of the grill. So what I've done is just put some Loctite on them because I find they don't like to stay tight. And as soon as I find out where I left my wrench, there it is. Right where I left it on the air cleaner. I will start lining these up and threading them in. The difficult part is trying to get them in the proper boss. The grill, there's those little plastic build-out pieces that I'm sure you've seen before. Put a couple of these in. At least it'll hold it in place. You want to do this first. It's already in place. As you can see, this is going to take a little bit. I better get a couple of them started. The time has finally come to put the bumper on. I've had to do some work on it. I got the other light mounted in it. Bumper's got a little bit of damage on it because it came off the parts truck, and anyway, you'll see that. Got some shims made up to hold it level, so let's see what the chrome bumper looks like with the sport grill and other stuff on it. So it's just kind of sitting there right now, not really lined up perfectly. I'll just put the hood down. I still haven't peeled the masking tape off the grill since I painted it. Do that. Oh, great. Should have peeled it off sooner. The white masking in particular likes to bake on, and it, when it wants to stick, it's tough getting it off. These grills bolted in, as I'll show you, is definitely really tricky, and chances are they're going to crack on you if you're using if you're putting a used grill on or change the grill in these trucks. Plastic gets old and crusty, and it just kind of, it is what it is. This one's got a couple broken fins. I could always put the rubber grill in there from the newer grills if I so decide to. Right now, I just want to see what everything looks like back together. This is the most complete this truck has been in years. So let's see if my scheme of spare parts looks good or not. I have to say, I do think the chrome grille looks pretty good. With those headlights and, pardon me, not the chrome grille, the chrome bumper. I was going to do the body colored air dam on the front with the black bumper, and I think that would look good too, but I think this is good enough. I haven't even polished that bumper or anything yet. It's just sitting there, and the hood isn't quite closed all the way. It's not latched. I just wanted to get it. It's hard for me to get far enough away in the shop to give you a good look at how it turned out. But the grill, or the bumper, the chrome bumper matches the silver paint pretty good. Wow, I wish I had a little bit of video of what this truck looked like when I got it. So I got to clean up the grill a little bit. The masking tape kind of stuck to it. But I'm quite happy with that. That's the way she's going to look, I think. I'm not going to bother with trying to go and get the black bumper. I'd have to paint the air dam body color. This one, see, somebody hit something with it and it cracked it right here. I'll see if I can kind of get that a little more flush or something, but I think it's just, it is what it is. I had to build some little pieces to kind of hold this up in here because it was also torn down and just had to, it was pulled down, I should say. Anyways, I got that kind of tightened up a little bit. It looks pretty good. It is what it is, 20-year-old truck. But I'm pretty happy with just having this thing starting to be complete now. There she sits. So I've got to clean it up a lot more, and I'm going to do a bit of rust repair. I just wanted to get it so it looks like a respectable running vehicle at this point, and then I can take it out of the shop. I've got to do a lot of cleanup in here. I've got other projects I want to get to, so basically just wanted to get this together, get the fluids in it so I can start it up and move it out, move it in and out as I need to. It does have a battery drain, it's the bad part that I'm gonna have to figure out because I have to unhook the battery every night at this point. But anyways, guys, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna leave this video there. It's been in between, there's been a lot of off-camera work on this thing, building some kind of custom parts and things like that. So anyways, there's been a lot more involved than what I've shown you. But if you like the videos, guys, let me know what you like to watch, what you want to learn, and hit that like and subscribe button and share the videos if you like it. And I'll see you very soon with another project.